Ladies and gentlemen, when a man breaks you, don't crumble. Rise like a queen. This isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power, your voice, your worth. You weren't made to chase approval or beg for love. You were born to walk away with grace, build in silence, and return so powerful that even the ones who broke you won't recognize the woman you've become. Stay with me, because this isn't just a speech, it's your awakening. Your worth isn't tied to the hands that couldn't hold you with care. Just because someone failed to recognize your brilliance doesn't mean it isn't there. When someone tries to break you, it's often a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not a judgment of your value. People will try to dim your light when it shines too brightly for their comfort. But that says more about their fear of inadequacy than it does about your power. You are not here to shrink so that others can feel taller. Let their inability to love you properly be the reason you love yourself more fiercely. The rejection you face is often redirection towards something higher, something more worthy of your essence. Hold your head up, not out of arrogance, but out of a quiet knowing that you are more than enough. That confidence, that inner steel, is what keeps a woman unshaken by the opinions of those who cannot match her depth. There will be moments when someone's betrayal feels like the final blow, like your spirit was dropped and shattered across the floor. But pain is not a sign that you are weak. It's a sign that you gave deeply, that you showed up with sincerity in a world that often rewards masks. Let them walk away if they must. Let them speak their doubts and plant their poison. But don't let that venom take root in your soul. You don't have to prove yourself to someone who chose to walk away. Your dignity is not up for discussion, and your soul is not a project to be fixed by those who couldn't handle its brilliance. They couldn't break you. They simply reminded you of the strength you forgot you had. In the silence after the chaos, remember that healing doesn't need an audience, only your commitment. You are not what happened to you. You are how you rise from it. Life will give you countless reasons to feel like you're not enough, especially when someone you cared for treats you like you're replaceable. But growth begins where self-doubt ends. You don't have to wear their judgments like shackles on your identity. People often hurt others because they are bleeding within themselves. But you were never responsible for their wounds. Only your own healing. Stand firm in that truth. Your past is not a prophecy of your future. It's just a chapter. You can turn the page, write something new, something bold. Let your pain be the ink and your resilience the pen. Some people enter your life as lessons, not lifelines. And when they leave, they teach you what you needed to learn about yourself. Perhaps they showed you what you will never tolerate again. Maybe their cruelty opened a door to your self-respect. You don't have to hate them. You don't even have to forget. But you do have to choose yourself every time. That's how you reclaim your power. Not by lowering yourself to their level, but by rising above it with grace. It's not weakness to walk away without revenge. It's strength. True power lies in your ability to stay soft in a world that tried to harden you. And when you carry that softness with pride, no blow can truly destroy you. There is something unstoppable about a woman who remembers who she is. When the world tries to convince you that you're broken, that you're too much or not enough, you look inward. You find your voice in the ruins. And that voice, calm, centered, unshaken, is the voice that rebuilds you. You no longer seek validation in fleeting places. You don't beg for closure from those who were never open to begin with. You stop chasing apologies and start embracing acceptance. Your power lies in your stillness, in your decision not to react with fire, but with understanding. Not for them, for you. because you deserve your own peace more than you deserve their explanations. You are a mirror of the strength that adversity tries to hide. Every time someone tried to push you down, you rose taller. Every time you were underestimated, you shattered expectations. It is not arrogance to know your worth. It is survival. When someone treats you as though you are easy to walk away from, remember, that is not your burden to carry. Their choices reflect their character, not your value. Don't chase people. Don't beg to be seen. Be the mountain they regret climbing and the sky they could never touch. Let them remember you not as a memory they discarded, but as a force they couldn't handle. That is how you respond, with silent, undeniable power. There is grace in letting go. There is victory in choosing peace over drama, self-respect over validation. You don't need to retaliate with bitterness. You can walk away with elegance. When someone breaks you, they expect to see you crumble. They expect you to collapse under the weight of their absence. But your power lies in proving them wrong, not through words, but through the way you evolve. You're allowed to hurt, to cry, to feel every emotion deeply. But don't stay in that place. Let your tears water the soil where your new self will grow. You don't have to fight to prove your strength. Sometimes the quietest decisions hold the loudest power. Time reveals what people tried to hide. Eventually, the truth always surfaces. But until then, don't waste your energy chasing closure from someone who closed the door in your face. Create your own closure. Declare your own ending. Rewrite your narrative with your own pen. You are not a victim. You are a survivor, a builder, a creator of new beginnings. The version of you that rises after heartbreak is wiser, stronger, and far more fearless than the one who loved with blind hope. Let that version lead the way. Trust her. Because she's been through fire and still chooses to bloom. That kind of woman is unbreakable, unstoppable. There's a quiet kind of revenge in becoming the best version of yourself. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to yourself that you never needed them to begin with. That your light was always enough. That your voice was always valid. That your presence was always powerful. The moment you stop tying your worth to the ones who couldn't stay, you reclaim everything they tried to take from you. The power is in us. To see what they did to us, that you claim everything they tried to take from you. The power that you discover that you gain it all. That you, not just your confidence, but your clarity. Not just your power, but your peace. And peace, once claimed, becomes the strongest armor. Because no storm outside can shake the calm that lives within a healed soul. You're not broken. You're becoming. Every scar is a sign that you lived, that you endured, and that you kept going when it would have been easier to stop. That's not weakness. That's warrior work. You are not a victim of your story. You are the author of what comes next. Let every heartbreak be the soil where your future strength grows. Let every goodbye be the reason you say yes to yourself. The world will always try to make you forget your power. Don't let it. Wear your pain like armor, not chains. Speak with fire, walk with grace, and live like someone who knows that no one can break what was built to rise. You were never meant to chase anyone, not love, not validation, not attention. The ones who are meant for you will never require you to abandon yourself just to be seen. Chasing is for those who believe they are lacking something. But you are whole, complete, and worthy as you are. When someone doesn't value your presence, Stepping back is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the silent declaration that you will never shrink to fit into spaces too small for your greatness. Please, life is too short not to be free. Life is too short not to be free. It's too small for your greatness. Elevation isn't about revenge. It's about refinement. When others pull away, let them. You don't lower your standards. You raise your boundaries. There is a kind of elegance in detaching from those who cannot see your worth. You don't argue. You don't beg. You simply remove your energy, your time, your access. Not because you're cold, but because you finally realized your peace matters more than their inconsistency. You don't need to chase what doesn't nourish your soul. You were never meant to prove your value to someone who benefits from your doubt. Elevation means choosing yourself when others choose to ignore you. It means walking away even when your heart aches, because your spirit knows you deserve better. Your silence becomes a louder message than any confrontation. You're not here to be chosen. You're here to choose. Choose your dignity. Choose your growth. Choose your future over someone's indecision. You have nothing to prove by clinging to someone who isn't sure about you. The ones who truly see you won't make you feel like a question mark. They'll meet you with clarity, not confusion. You are not an option. You are a priority. Stop shrinking your brilliance to fit someone's shallow perception. You don't need to convince anyone of your value when you already live it. Your elevation begins the moment you stop seeking permission to rise. Some people will only value you when you no longer make yourself available. They'll come back, not because they've changed, but because they miss your light. But you've changed. You no longer entertain those who dimmed your glow. Growth teaches you not to romanticize what hurt you. You start choosing peace over patterns, purpose over pain. You no longer confuse intensity with intimacy. The truth is, elevation requires separation. Not everyone can go where you're going, and that's okay. Let them remember you as the one who walked away without bitterness, just a quiet, confident goodbye. When you chase someone, you teach them that your presence is negotiable. But when you elevate, you teach them that your presence is a privilege. Your energy is sacred, your time is gold, and your heart is not a playground for those still learning how to love. You are not hard to love. They are simply not equipped to love you well. Let that sink in. Stop watering relationships that drain you. There is power in walking away from what you once begged for. Not because it was easy, but because you finally chose yourself. That's what true elevation looks like. Choosing self-worth over self-sacrifice. The love you truly deserve won't need to be chased. It will feel peaceful, mutual, consistent. But until it arrives, become the person who doesn't settle. Fall in love with your solitude. Protect your space. Create a life so fulfilling that anyone who enters it must add value, not chaos. You are not here to beg for breadcrumbs when you were born to feast. Your standards are not too high. They are the filter for those who don't belong. Let them say you've changed. Let them misunderstand your silence. What matters is that you no longer compromise your soul for temporary connection. There is a difference between attracting someone and chasing someone. Attraction is magnetic, natural, effortless. Chasing is exhausting, depleting, and rooted in fear. You are not desperate, you are divine. You are not needy, you are nurturing. You've just been giving too much to those who give too little. But you are allowed to outgrow what once felt comfortable. You are allowed to set boundaries that protect your peace. There's no shame in rising above what no longer aligns with your growth. In fact, that's the bravest thing you can do. Elevation is a decision, and today you choose to rise. There's beauty in becoming unreachable to what once broke you. The late night texts, the empty promises, the one-sided love, all of it becomes irrelevant when you begin to see yourself clearly. I'd like to say thank you for your kind words, for your bravery. I think to myself, the late night texts, the empty promises, the one-sided love, all of it becomes irrelevant when you begin to see yourself clearly. You realize that your time is not for rehearsing heartbreak. You no longer wait by the phone. You no longer romanticize someone's potential. Instead, you focus on becoming the woman who inspires herself. You wake up not needing to be chosen, but excited to keep choosing your peace. That is what it means to elevate. When your self-respect becomes non-negotiable and your presence becomes your power, you begin to understand that walking away doesn't mean you lost. It means you refuse to lose yourself in the process of holding on to someone else. You don't owe anyone your energy when they continuously disrespect your presence. When you elevate, you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Your life becomes simpler, more focused, more intentional. You stop trying to fit into places that your soul has already outgrown. There's no need to dim your light to make others feel comfortable in their shadows. You are allowed to rise, even if it makes others uncomfortable. You are not here to prove you're worthy of love. You are here to embody love, to become the highest version of yourself. Every time you choose peace over drama, clarity over confusion, growth over comfort, you win. You no longer seek closure from those who slam the door. You create your own. And in that space, you thrive. Let your evolution be the echo they hear long after you're gone. Let your elevation speak for itself. You don't chase. You don't explain. You rise. Every day, every moment, with grace, with power, and with the quiet certainty that you are becoming everything you once waited for. The moments that feel like they will break you are often the ones that build the strongest parts of who you are. When everything crumbles and your world is turned upside down, that's when the real work begins. The pain you're feeling is not a dead end. It's a doorway. You weren't meant to stay shattered. You were meant to rebuild differently, stronger, wiser. Every breakdown is an invitation to rise, to shed old versions of yourself that no longer serve your growth. You learn what truly matters when you're forced to face what you thought would destroy you. That strength doesn't come from comfort. It's born from chaos. You don't just survive the fall, you rise more rooted. And in that rise, you discover what you're truly made of. Heartbreaks have a way of waking you up to your own power. When someone leaves, when they lie, when they betray the trust you gave freely, it can feel like the ground is gone beneath your feet. But in that emptiness, you start rebuilding not for anyone else, but for yourself. You realize that your worth doesn't depend on someone choosing you. It's about you choosing yourself, fully and unapologetically. Pain doesn't mean you're broken. It means you were brave enough to feel deeply. And in that depth, you find clarity. You begin to separate your identity from the hurt. You don't let the story end with betrayal. You begin a new chapter with boundaries, wisdom, and self-respect. Without it all, you're free. You begin a new chapter with boundaries, wisdom, and self-respect. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to grieve the version of love you imagined. But don't stay in that sorrow. Use it. Channel it. Let it be the fuel that drives your transformation. Every tear that falls waters the seed of a stronger you. You are not defined by what hurt you, but by how you choose to heal. Healing isn't always pretty. It's messy, raw, and silent. But through that process, you find your voice again. A voice that speaks with more truth, more purpose, more certainty. You learn not to seek comfort in those who cause the pain. Instead, you become the comfort, the healer, the safe space for yourself. There's a fire that awakens inside when you've been hurt deeply and still choose to rise. You stop waiting for apologies. You stop begging for closure. You stop looking back, because you realize that what's ahead is far greater than what's behind. The wound may have been unexpected, but so is your strength. You start focusing on your growth, your goals, your future. You become more intentional with who gets your time and energy. And that's not bitterness. That's growth. That's self-respect. That's wisdom born from struggle. It's knowing that you deserve peace over promises, action over apologies. You begin to shift from asking, why did this happen to me, to what is this teaching me? That shift changes everything. Pain no longer feels like punishment. It becomes a teacher. You learn to sit with yourself in silence, to listen to what your soul is really saying. You find power in your solitude. You stop distracting yourself from the discomfort and start leaning into it, because that's where your truth lives. The truth that you are more than this moment, more than this heartache, more than what was lost. And in that truth you find freedom. Freedom to grow beyond what once kept you stuck. Some people will never understand how deeply you felt, how purely you loved, or how much it took for you to stay grounded through the chaos. But you don't need their understanding. What matters is that you see yourself clearly now. That you no longer chase people who make you feel like too much or not enough. That you stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. The beauty in breaking is that it gives you the chance to rebuild without the parts of you that settled. Without the habits that kept you small. Without the patterns that attracted pain. This is your reset. Use it. There is no shame in starting over. In fact, it's one of the bravest things you can do. Walking away from what once felt safe but was slowly destroying your spirit takes courage. It takes vision to believe that something better is possible. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the first step toward healing, toward peace, toward self-love. Every day, you rebuild. Every day, you get a little stronger. And eventually, the pain that once consumed you becomes the story of how you found yourself. Not the broken version, the real you. Growth isn't glamorous. It's quiet mornings where you choose discipline over distraction. It's late nights where you talk yourself out of going back to what hurt you. It's boundaries that feel uncomfortable but necessary. It's learning to say no, not because you're mean, but because you're healing. And healing requires space. It requires honesty. It requires letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be in order to become who you were always meant to be. And I say, today we learn to go all the way, to go where you were always meant to be. Forever. It's enough to say that you were what you want to be what you were. And the more you grow up, the more you grow up. Forever. It's enough to say that you were what you were always meant to be. Forever. It's enough to you stop seeking validation in others and start validating your own experience. That's where the shift happens. Not outside of you, but within. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who teach you the most. Not because they were right, but because they revealed your blind spots. They mirrored your insecurities, your fears, your need for external approval. And now you see it. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. Now you see it. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. You thank the experience not because it was kind, but because it made you kind to yourself. That's what healing does. It rewrites your relationship with pain. It no longer becomes something you avoid. It becomes something you grow from. You don't numb it. You don't run from it. You face it. And in that facing you rise. Your strength isn't measured by how well you hide your pain. It's measured by your ability to feel it, survive it, and still choose to love yourself, your life, your future. You aren't broken. You're becoming. Every heartbreak was a step towards self-realization. Every disappointment redirected you closer to your purpose. And now, you get to stand tall. Not because you never fell, but because you got back up. Again and again. That is power. That is grace. That is what it means to be unshakable. Not untouched by pain, but undefeated by it. You don't just survive your breakdowns. You transform through them. That is what it means to be unshakable. Not untouched by pain, but undefeated by it. You don't just survive your breakdowns. You transform through them. And that transformation is your crown.